This time it is for real. We shall do the lecture after. It's not like those days of first year where we would tell you we shall have a lecture after. Then I'm like, we are tired. No tie this time. No suit. I'm not coming in a coat. I'll come. It is electronics lab, so I'll come ready for the lecture after. So no cheating me 1 hour. Yes. But I've just checked, we've covered all this stuff. It's like we've really covered some significant stuff for you to enjoy the test. Okay, so on Tuesday we were able to get a general solution for the for cylindrical coordinates. And we said that the potential VR5 would be the same, but we still had the Z being, we never tried to go upwards the cylinder. We only kept here at the bottom. And then we had it as AK, RK plus PK, R minus K, E move, CK plus K5 plus PK, where A, K, DK, CK, DK are formed by applying the boundary conditions to the problem we are working on. And today, we're going to look at an example of a conducting cylinder placed in an electric field. Conducting cylinder. Conducting cylinder. Placed in a uniform electric field. Just to have a feeling of what is going on, we consider the effect of placing, a conducting cylinder of radius small a, small n, with its axis coinciding with the z-axis, coinciding with the z-axis. Where? The heading. I said it, but it is not there. I said it in the top. You can put it there. Doesn't matter. The issue is to get the point. In my talking, I said placed in, but I said in a, and in the notes it is in a. I can say a lot of things, even say albeit instead of although, and then write although when I'm saying albeit. So you have to be keen, but unless if it is here in the notes and I haven't put it on board, there I accept or if it is a 12 minutes, but I normally say things, many things, sometimes write small, few, just to make sure that and that's why eventually on those videos on YouTube, I made sure I put the PDF there. Because by that time even the board wouldn't be seen the top. This side would be zoomed, but as you go the other side, that's why I used to write from this side where the blackboard is bigger. Then I would only do some rough work this side in order to make sure that everybody can see. But I've discovered that when I make the camera tested well, it fits. The challenge I had with the other camera is that it was not the lecture theatre. I tried in electronics just because you were few. But when you are many and I need a distance for the camera to capture the whole board, some of you start knocking it as if you were born by a car. You see my camera, but then somebody comes and knocks it. The same thing used to happen in the same thing used to happen in the chemistry thing. So anyhow, so coinciding with the z-axis, and then the cylinder being infinitely long. The cylinder being infinitely long. And then assume that in the absence of the cylinder, assume that in the absence of the cylinder, there is a uniform electric field. There is a uniform electric field. Which is along the along the x, E equal to E in Rx. This is along the x. So that means that the cylinder, if we were to look at, to draw it nicely, as I'll draw it, it means that the cylinder is like this. So the z is in on the board, and then the x and y. So the y will, so if this is the cylinder, the z will be in on the board, and then we are having the field in this direction, in the x direction. I'll draw a better diagram, but I'm just giving, before I finish writing. So this is along the x, the z is in there, so you can put the y if you want at your face. So, but much as I'm drawing just a circle here, but we are looking at it as the cylinder, this paper being the cylinder. Each axis is coinciding with the z. But before we place this cylinder here, the field is along the x. So we want to know what happens. And it is long. So it is, no matter where you will be, the cylinder is going to meet the field, which is along the x. Because we are looking at this being an infinitely long cylinder. So then our purpose is that we seek a solution. We seek a solution of Laplace's equation. Using cylindrical harmonics to satisfy the following boundary conditions. The harmonics are the ck, dk, cos k phi plus sin k phi. That's the harmonics I'm talking about. So these boundary conditions are one. Can anyone help us figure out a condition that we would have to look at? What would be, Muzaffar, what would be the first bound condition? Or any condition that you think of when we have, we have our field which is along the X previously, before we even do anything. This is our field here, everywhere, and it is E, not X. So this is the X. Then we inserted the conducting cylinder. So the first thing is to understand how the field will be away from the cylinder. So the first is that at great distances from the axis, at great distances from the axis of the cylinder, then we would have that the potential can be gotten from the electric field density. And the potential would be the same as E is equal to minus V, so V would be equal to integral E naught X. So this would be the same as V tends, of course, to the other minus from minus V, which would be minus integral. So this would be minus E naught X. And X in cylindrical coordinates is the same as R cos phi, which is equal to minus E naught R cos phi. And this is when you start moving as far away as possible from the axis. With the cylindrical coordinates, this being the Z, this being the X, this being the Y, and for a particular place around here, for example, distance R, and this being theta, and this being phi. So if we took this to be R here, so if this is the angle phi we're talking about, and this is the R, then you can get should we have this one as Y and then this one as X, such that we have this as R cos X would be equal to R cos phi, and then the Y here would be being equal to R sin phi. And then, of course, going upwards here, the Z will be equal to Z. So that means that this being our first condition, we have what was the equation for the general solution in cylindrical coordinates? Equation what? Oh, we didn't label it. And it is equation what? 8. So now, because we are following, so this is equation 9. 2, the second boundary condition, we assume that the cylinder is R. Assume that the cylinder is R. So if the cylinder is R, then it means that I'm going to introduce it here, and then we have the other thing. So it means that radius A, that is around the surface of the cylinder, if it is earth, what will be the potential? So the potential at R equal to A would be equal to 0. This is our equation. So we can, now that we have these two boundary conditions, far away from the cylinder, the potential is minus in R cos phi. Just on the surface of the cylinder, when it is earth, then we have the potential being 0, which is an equivalential surface. So it means that examination of equations either 9 show that the constant, the other k on the equation equals 1. Thus, you would have the potential dr of phi being equal to ak, but now k is 1. Then r to the k, which is 1, plus bk, which is b1, over r to the k, which is 1, into ck, which is now 1 cos phi, then plus dk, which is now 1, sin k phi, which is sin phi. And then we have this as equation 11. On this note, we can now draw the cylinder. And the cylinder is, we are not going to put the effects of the field, we are not going to draw the effects of the field or the effects of the cylinder on the field. So we simply have in the field along the x, and then we shall draw the resultant one after, much as I should, it should be procedural. So I'm just going to put the, so the cylinder is in here with the axis of the cylinder corresponding with the z-axis, and then it is of radius a, and then we say it is earthed, so the potential along the surface is 0. And then we are having this being the axis, the x-axis, which is along which the field is acting. And then we can talk of any 2 points. This is the cylinder here. And assuming the z was upright. So with this cylinder being like this, we are looking at any 2 points on either side of this cylinder. But now it is like this. So these 2 points here, anywhere as the cylinder changes in size, how we were visually viewed. So we are looking at 2 points. 1 point being P prime here, and P prime having the coordinates x minus 5, and then P here directly opposite being positive x, positive 5. So this is
yes. The points P and B prime around the field or around the surface of the cylinder.
any point there are any 2 points in space with the coordinates x and phi. They are not necessarily on the surface of the, so we can you know, it can extend from inside the cylinder to the outside. So there are any two polar coordinates. So we have the cylinder like this, and when we get from the mirror, from the axis inside here to the point here and to the other point P prime. So this one will be having this angle here. The angle from the center, from the axis of the cylinder to the sun point, either on the surface or anywhere along that line, is having this angle here. So up here is positive 5, and down here is negative 5. And definitely after we have all the issues happening, this is a cylinder of radius A. So after all things have happened, I hope you have understood that the cylinder is in on the board. The z-axis is in on the board. So once everything has happened, there will be, this is the conducting cylinder. So this side of the whole cylinder will be affected by these positives which are producing this field. So the negatives will be on this other side. The positives will be on this side. Then they will now distort this uniform field where we put the cylinder. And then the other business like on the sphere happens. This one starts terminating here, on the negatives here. This one terminates here, This terminates around here. And then this one tries to be attracted to these other charges which were induced but can't reach, so it's like a key. And also here. And then the ones which are far away just go scot-free. But I didn't. So this is a bad image. This is a bad fault, a bad diagram, which is unrealistic. I don't know whether you understand. This is imaginary. Incomplete, it's imaginary. It can't happen like this, is impossible. To get a conducting sphere, cylinder, and you put it in a uniform field and everything is okay. You understand what I'm saying? Otherwise I should have drawn this, then I put the effects, and after putting effects, then you draw when the effects are being seen. But of course, the notes have this. So I just want you to, yes?
Okay, to me, I think it is okay.
It is not okay.
Reason being, we are drawn in the...
No, it is not okay.
Refer to rule number 1.
Pardon?
You should refer to rule number 1.
Mama, don't be scared by these people. So you're saying that because we have grounded the surface, everything is okay?
To me.
So nothing happens. That is on the surface. But there will be a field that will be inside. You have just grounded on the outside. Pardon?
There will be no charge that reside inside the conducting cylinder.
What do you mean inside? What do you mean by inside? They are not inside. Deeply inside. They are, so when you are saying when they reach this, so then finally what? I don't know whether, soon you will know why I'm saying it is not okay.
Yes, we are having a uniform potential on the surface of the cylinder, which is again grounded.
Let's move on. From simile, because I want to, at the end of the day, we want to see why I'm trying to tell you that this is abnormal. It's an abnormal diagram, but it is it's like a process. Like if you pause the movie when I'm about to knock somewhere, and then you are like, I stopped there. And still when I knock him, you fall down, so you can't show what happens. I don't know whether you get my stupid explanation. This is not the final diagram of what happens when we place a conducting cylinder in a uniform electric field. The field will be distorted after induction has happened. And that's what we should be drawing. But also we need to see how a few of these labelings are the ones which make some good sense. This was an assumption. That's why I'm not going on it. For the second boundary condition, we assumed that it is ground. Just to make sure that it is an equipotential surface. And of the, just like the way we said for azimuthal similarly, we shall take the equatorial plane to be an equatorial, an equipotential, and then we were fairly good enough and safe enough if we assume that that potential that we are saying is same to be 0, so that we make our life easy. So from similarly, this side, the potential here should be the same as the potential, because there is symmetry. So here phi should be equal to V R minus phi. The potential at P is the same as the potential at P prime. Potential at P is the same as the potential at P prime. When that happens, then we have that the constant, everything is rough. The constant V1 would be equal to if the VR phi and VR minus phi are the same, then D1 is equal to, that's your mathematics. Thus we can make things a bit simplified that VR phi will be the same as A1 R plus B1 over R in the C, so it's only the C part, so C1 cos phi, D1 sin phi with D1 will kill everything on this other side. This is equation 12. May I know which one was 11? 11, yes. After show that K equal 1 and then we are equal to when we put in 1. Did I label it? I'm sorry, I also lose track. So as we move far away from the cylinder, then V R tending to infinity, phi, would be the same as the minus E naught R cos theta from condition 1, sorry, phi, not theta. And then this implies that the A1 R, so this other part here, when you have R tending to infinity, this other term here will go to 0. So you remain with A1, R1. Then C1, sorry, C1 cos phi would be equal to this one here. I'm substituting for when R equal to infinity using this other expression here. So minus E naught R cos phi. courses will go, and then we remain with A1. The others also will go, so A1, C1 equals to E now. A1, C1 equals minus E now. This becomes our equation 13. I'm not going to rub my nice graph because I'm going to draw it again soon. But I would prefer rubbing a few things from it. But since I'm
You can use the other board.
which one? The other side. Okay, we move the other side. No, I promised that I'm gonna if I get enough money by retirement, I can also install movable boards everywhere, but I'll donate one in the lecture theater. I promise.
When will you retire?
In a couple of years. In a couple of years I'll be retiring, and I'll buy for you this one here. I'll make sure I install a nice board, about 5 of them, so that you can slide one, slide another, and then write on the bottom. And so that I can come here early, I can go there early, write all the notes there. So when you come, I keep pushing, then I say, no, I'm saying to explain when somebody comes, is able to do that. That's I said but I'm meaning that when the lecturer comes, can come early and write everything on the board, like if it is an 8 o'clock, writes everything that he's supposed to teach, and then comes and keeps. These diagrams should be on different boards, so I don't have to waste time drawing them. So I promise, I will. That's the only thing I can also give, I can do to give back to my institution after earning a lot of money from it.
I think we can write what you said so that we don't lose the word.
So I didn't hear that, but I don't want to hear it right. For VA5, that is at the surface of the cylinder, we said that since it is grounded, then it is equal to 0. We have from equation 12, we have from equation 12 with this condition above, this one here. If we substitute in this equation here, 0 would be where there is R, we put A. We put A. And then that means that, so we have from equation 12, 0 would be equal to A1, A, then plus B1, C1 over, this is A. And then was what? Pardon? Which outside the bracket? Okay, let me make my life easy. Simple. The cos phi love the way you So from equation 12 was, yes, it's okay. And V is equal to 0. So you want me to put, to insist with cos phi when it is equal to, on the equation is equal to 0.
So cos phi is equal to 0.
Hmm?
That means that cos phi is equal to 1 over phi is 0.
When we put this potential equal to 0, it is equal to this whole thing. Even the C should have gone with the phi. But for your happiness, I've put it here and there. Okay, either this is equal to 0.
Yes.
Then I divide both sides by
C1 plus
cos phi, even C1. But before I do that, I will leave your C1 there so that you don't harass me.
And for me, I'm using it to, if it is a cos of something, equating to it, then you get 5 equals to those angles.
This is algebraic gymnastics. I don't want to do that. So we have, this implies that B1, C1 equals to minus C1 A1 A squared, and then O B1 C1 equals to E naught A squared. I'm sure the reason we did not make C1 disappear is because in the previous condition up here, we said that C1 A1 equals to minus. So that's the reason why I did not divide both sides by C1, because it is can be replaced by the E naught minus. And this becomes equation 14. Now using equation 13 and 14, using equations 13 and 14, then I get the, and we put them in equation 12. You know better where they are. Then we would have that VR theta. Sorry, VR, I don't know why I'm so much. VR phi equals to minus E naught E nu R minus A squared over R cos phi. And we can put the minus inside and say that therefore VR phi equals to E naught. Then the inside would be changed so that we have it as A squared over R minus R. Then cos phi. So this would be the potential, the general solution of Laplace's equation for a cylinder. So this would be the potential due to a conducting cylinder that is placed within a uniform electric field E equal to A naught. I brought this phone for, I don't want to tell you the reason why. This is not the reason I brought it. The one calling is not the reason I brought it here. I'll tell you why I bought my cat watch to make noise here this day. So we have the potential. What can we get from the potential? What else can we get? So the components of electric field density, the components components of the electric field density. We have the radial component, which is the minus Kali V by Kali R, which is the same as minus Kali by Kali R of this whole down thing, which is E naught into A squared over R minus R cos phi. Muwezi, I know your name is Helper, but not when I'm busy teaching. You see, names stick with us. So when you get a child, don't call your child with funny names. Imagine you are a CEO, but your employees are saying, Kasada. But it is normal. Some of you can just say it just to make sure they bomb you. But when actually it's not, so it is your parents' fault. Or like Tulituka. Everything is just always on the process.
But there was Bush in America.
And you think he wasn't the Bush either?
So he was a funny name sometimes.
So what did he do?
Yeah?
What did he do that you remember?
Became a president.
Yes, but is being a president the final thing or what?
Yeah, of course.
Even John Kim Il is a president.
Who became a president?
Other than being success, but when we were trying.
Therefore, ER is the same as, so when we differentiate with respect to what we got, this is a 1, this is a minus,
A squared over R squared.
yeah, so this is A squared over R squared, this is a plus 1, and E naught was as 5. We now differentiate this with respect to the azimuth, which is the phi, so that we get the azimuthal component, and then E phi will be equal to minus 1 over R, Kali by Kali, Kali V by Kali phi, which should be equal to minus 1 over R, Kali by Kali phi of this all down thing, E naught into A squared over R minus R was phi. So there is nothing much here other than making this a minus sine phi, and then it cancels with this minus here, so we get E phi being the same as the R. You can push the R inside so that after we have differentiated, so this gives us minus sine phi, minus goes, we put the R, 1 over R, so we multiply by 1 R, so that we get A squared over R squared, the other one becomes minus 1, then E naught sine phi. So generally what happens is that at the end of the day, after we have had the induction, these charges will distort the field. And when they distort the field, the nature of the... So this is what I wanted you to understand when I'm trying to make sure it comes out. These are not necessary no more. So this will be distorted inside. This will be distorted inside. The other one can survive. This one also will be distorted. And this should go. Should be able to. So basically, we know that virtually we have this coming from the positive to the negative, and then we have negatives going this side, and if the negatives are going this side, then we get a distortion because of these negatives. So these positives here terminate on some negatives there, start terminating on some negatives there. And then this other one here gets distorted, almost looking for the other negatives here. And then doesn't. So this one, which is far away, just goes straight. And then these ones come from the positives here, which we are used here. From the positives here. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then more of these come from the positives here. This one gets distorted like that. And these ones go to the negatives here, terminate on the negatives there. I can leave this one here. And this, so the issue is about the field for this other last diagram. Just to show how the field looks like. And we have our field being Rx. And this is our cylinder of radius. That's the reason why I didn't rub it, to make sure that I make it come out when you are seeing than drawing another one, and it's like you don't relate how the thing. Once you have the negatives being formed here, and positives are here, all over here, then you start getting these, most of these fields terminating here. That's why they bend here. So this field terminates on some negative here, some negative here, some negative here, negative here, negative here. And then these ones seemingly now originate from these positives, these positives, these positives, and then these ones just survive. They say, your business there, we don't care what is going on there. For us, we are going this way. We don't know what is going on there. Just like some people, you have seen these videos in town when they are kicking somebody and people are just looking like this. Even if people have grudge, 10 people can't beat one person. They can't have a grudge with one person. You should be, well, you know. When I had just come to Kampala, they used to say, sudden sound. That when they pick somebody's bag and then you say, they are stealing, or if they are pickpocketing, and then you say they are pickpocketing you, then another one comes and cuts you. And it had become like a norm. Until when one operative, one security guy shot a guy. A guy came and took his girlfriend's bag, and the guy shot him, and then he went and picked the bag and gave it back to his girlfriend. From that day, that business stopped. So one time I was driving in the evening and the guy grabbed the phone from the other in-front vehicle, after another vehicle. So when he was passing in front of me, I wanted to knock him, but I calculated, if I knock him, if I don't knock him, I'll knock the other vehicle. And I can't explain. If I knock him and he has other goons around, they will say he has knocked a person, not a thief. Then they can lynch you. So I just looked at the thing, but I have it on camera. You know, they come walking as if they are just busy, then they grab and run. So when he ran, like, I wanted to squeeze him on log cabin which has a hard body. I was going to squeeze him. When I destroy mine, I was going to squeeze him. But I calculated the other vehicle in front was an alternate but with new number plates. And someone will say, that is your problem. Me, you prepare my car, whatever. So I said, I let the thief take the phone. After all, it is not mine. But good enough when I'm walking in town. I've never seen any. Like the other day, I was going to pick something in town and the border came and stopped and started asking me. I told him, do I look stupid that I can't know I'm hurrying? I want a border. Then he looked at me and you see the notation is inside. So that one went, another one. As I'm trying to walk again back here, two of them come almost. They said, but you people in Uganda, you people, are we so stupid that we can't know we are hurrying, that we need a border?
See, when they see you with the money, for me they don't ask you.
You've never had a taxi calling you or a border stopping you? You don't walk anywhere there.
They just ignore him.
You imagine, you have come from home, you're holding your bag to go to work, and then the taxi is asking, okay, I would be in a taxi there, and then the conductor asks the woman, and she comes and reaches and cries. But when she had showed no intention of, what kind of nonsense is that? So for me, when a conductor is asking, the only thing I do is to look into his eyes. And then he looks the other side. He looks the other side. I just look into his eyes. Then he goes the other way. So, any question? So now you know how the field on the sphere happened. You know how this field on the cylinder has happened. In the diagram, it just looks like as if it is a circle, but actually we are just looking at the two dimensions. We are looking at the end of the cylinder. And the cylinder is infinite, very long. With this field uniform, threading the whole of the. So this marks the end of the solution of Laplace's of potential problems using Laplace's equation. I forgave him when he did this. I forgave him about the issue of playing around with Gauss's law, which was divergence of E equaling rho of epsilon naught, and then with the E equal to minus grad V, substituted in and got Poisson. And from Poisson he just comes walking around and says in regions of no charge, when rho is equal to 0, then grad squared is equal to, and then he says Laplace is equal. This was outrageous. But as you can see, the way we have utilized it to find out a couple of things, now we can forgive him. He could have used the fake, a simpler way of getting the equation and even customizing it to his names, but at least he did some work. He did to help us. So now we are on Poisson. Poisson also, although something where it is applicable is obsolete, but then we are just going to do an example solution of Poisson. Solution of Poisson equation, and we shall use a vacuum diode, which is also they are almost getting obsolete. So high vacuum diode. The high vacuum diode. And then there is this fella in LCDC who went on TV and said, for example, in physics, diodes are obsolete. We no longer use them. I want to sue him. Can you get me a good lawyer? Yes. Actually, that one will give me pro bono. It doesn't need money. So I'm going to talk to Semakade, and then they give me a pro bono lawyer. I sue this guy who is misleading Ugandans that diodes are obsolete in physics. When he was appearing on a TV that was written on lead, light emitting diodes. And then probably uses a torch at home. Even the vehicle he was chauffeured in has the indicators with LED lights, but he doesn't know that LED means light emitting diode, and there's a diode there. So I will look for the video. These days you look for a video, but in vain. But I look for the video, and then that's why I fought the curriculum. Some of you don't know why. I would be on radio listening to the talk show, and then somebody says, you know, there are these terminologies in physics, very hard terminologies. We need to simplify them. So how do you simplify Benon principle? Or Poisson? Or Archimedes? Segal. How do you simplify Segal? Because if now you made a principle and we are the Norwegian is introducing that principle, say Segawa. So you find that they're having difficulty in pronouncing our names. Yes, now soon when I patent, I'm intending to make a write-up so that by November it should be part of the curriculum. TWINAMASIKO back in So assume that so a vacuum diode is the other could be some around, but when you go to the other corner as you are going to the project lab, there is a metallic thing. That was our switch, our main switch, with a bunch of vacuum diodes. So those vacuum diodes were helping in switching on and off. So we started slowly, but this is almost also like the same principle. So this is almost like a vacuum diode. You got the electrons on this side, being produced by the cathode, get accelerated by the anode. In the due course, because of their speed, they knock off the molecules of the gas, then it glows. The glow is amplified by the fluorescent material around the tube. Maybe the next lecture will come with a broken tube to show you. When you break a tube and you scoop like this, you get stuff like chalk. So it's the one which fluoresces. The light is by that. There is a beautiful light we get. If you were to clean out the fluorescent material, you won't get any light. You'll be just seeing the glowing things, like the way these ones, when they die, look like these ones here. And these ones also have a story. Someone came with a project and they removed everything and put, but they are not spare parts. So now we are getting back to this slowly by slowly. So assume that a high vacuum diode, is formed with a cathode. and anode. Parallel plates. Parallel plates of infinite extent. Of infinite extent. In physics, infinite means being long enough. So infinite is up to heaven if it is positive. If it is negative, up to what is there?
Those are imaginary prisons.
So the last time I met an Australian in Norway, and then I made a joke. I'm sure I didn't know that I do physics, so I said, "You people, do you walk upside down?" And he laughed at me. Like, I was like, "So you guys in Australia, you walk upside down?" But you can imagine, so for people who, for example, in Greenland, Norway, Russia, when they say heaven, they point towards the clouds, isn't it? So those ones in South Africa, when they are pointing to heaven, where do they point? They point there. Eh? Where do they point? Or you also, any flat earth here, any one of you who believes in flat earth? Because there were a group of flat earthers who were inviting their friends around the globe. Yes. There are a bunch of nuts who think that the earth is flat, and all these things you see in space about International Space Station, that is a concoction by NASA, that the moon is not round, that it is flat, like you walk and sleep off. And then there is one fool who even had to travel in a plane, and he was trying to show how the plane moves and how it... Very interesting. Some people just have enough time to become stupid. Like you work hard to show that you are...
And enough knowledge to become.
You are stupid. There is, what you didn't understand is that I said they were making an invitation to all flat earthers around the globe. How do you go around the globe when it is flat? But you didn't pick that. So if we have a high vacuum diode made up of two plates which are almost infinite, and then at y equal to 0, which is at the x-axis, at y equal to 0 and y equal to d, respectively, and having potentials 0 at y equal to 0, and VA at y equal to d. So we got two plates. So by elimination, if we took this to be y, and this to be x, at x is equal to 0, we got a plate there. So we got a plate here. And we said respectively, so which one would be this, cathode or anode? So this is the x-axis, this is the y. So at y is equal to 0, we have the plate there. And then at y equal to d, somewhere here, we have another plate. I'm not going to draw them in 3 dimensions. Just going to draw them in the two dimensions. So we have plate A, plate B, and one of them is the cathode. So we shall have at y equal to 0. We have this being at a potential equal to 0, and we shall call this the cathode, and this one is the anode. And so the potential here is VA, according to this one here. And so we need to know what is going on. With this being the anode, this being the cathode, then where would be the electric field intensity flow into? With this being the anode, which is positively charged, this being the cathode, where would the electric field intensity going? Downwards. So we have E going downwards. Where would the current density be going? Because we have a cathode producing a lot of electrons, which are simmering here, meaning that you have charges moving. Whenever you have charges moving, and you have an area in which they are moving, then that current which is constituted by these charges will give us the current. So where would the current density be going? What would be the direction of the current density? Current is transported by electrons. And electrons are moving from where to where? From where there are many, which is the cathode, to where they are deficient, which is? Where does the current go? So where would the current density be going? So now we got an understanding of the electric field intensity, the current density, and then the electrons, we can say they are moving with a speed u. And then we shall say that at these 2 points, you have a point P here at the anode, and then you have a point here at the cathode. And we shall take some point in between our vacuum diode, somewhere around here. We shall take any point P and then do algebraic gymnastics so that we can get the Poisson's equation. This was just describing the diagram which I have drawn and everything that I described. Now let's talk about what is going on. Since there is no variation of V, since there is no changing of potential in the X and Z, this is the X. We are not having potential changing. This plate will be having the same potential 0. This plate will be having the potential VA out. And then when you go to the Z is that side, the same, this infinite extent. This cathode is the same up to some infinite extent. So the potential here is the potential here, is the potential here, is the potential up to infinity. So that's why we are saying that there is no potential change in the X and Z directions. And when that is true, that you don't have any change in the potential in these directions, then it means that any change in potential along the X would be the same as along the Y, this Z, and this is equal to, if there is no change and you are looking for change, then you get, just like we have had no change. We look for change, but the Khalil E by Khalil is equal, Khalil M by Khalil U. can square this one here. The Kali squared V by Kali X squared. So that's the, so we don't have the Kali squared V by Kali X squared or Kali squared V by Kali Z. We only along the Y. So that's Poisson equation. Poisson equation becomes the Kali squared V by Kali Y squared equaling to minus rho over, and this is our equation. We need to understand a couple of things going on. To solve the equation, we gotta do a couple of other assumptions. To solve the equation, three further assumptions are made. Three further assumptions are made. So, we shouldn't expect any other charges, since it is a vacuum diode. Vacuum meaning that all the air is removed, everything is removed, whatever now is remaining there are electrons that will be ejected from the cathode. So the first assumption, the further assumption is that only electrons are present. Only electrons are present in the space between the cathode and the anode. Two, the second and further assumption is that the number of electrons that are near the cathode is much, the number is much greater than those which will be demanded by the anode to form an anode plate current. So the cathode is producing as much as it wishes, and they will find more compared to what will be just needed to have the current. The moment you have electrons connecting from the cathode to the anode, the current starts flowing. But actually they are much more on the cathode. So the number of electrons available near the cathode is very much greater. Than the number demanded. By the anode. To form the anode. Current. Finally, the third further assumption is that the initial velocity of electrons, forming the anode current is what would be the velocity initially of these electrons that are forming the anode current? So they wouldn't be moving at all. So we got explanation of what is going on. We got assumptions that we have made. That, we have electrons present being the only available charge carriers in between these two plates here. The number of electrons available near the cathode very much greater than, so they have to be attracted in order to initiate the anode current, and then before they are initiated to move, they got no velocity. So we observe that. I'm sure you will be able to remember the diagram, or do I talk off this? Keep it with us. It's for your own benefit.
You remember for the schedule, it's a rate.
Okay. This semester I'm democratic, So we want to try to make sure that I'm so democratic that you don't say, I don't know, since when I can do such a thing. So observe that. The electric field immensely between the infinite plates, because had I rubbed it, this is why I was not, when I rubbed it now, you will be starting to figure out where the E was. Will be uniform everywhere, when there are no electrons present. When there are no electrons present. When there are no electrons present, when a large cloud of when a large electron cloud, when a large cloud of electrons, this is when a large cloud of electrons is formed at the cathode. So let's see. The E between the infinite will be uniform everywhere when there are do we put R here? When there are no electrons present, and when a large cloud of electrons is formed at the cathode. I don't know whether the statement makes sense to you. Is it to you or for you? So we have a large cloud of electrons on the cathode, but we don't have the electrons present in the middle of the whole thing. So we have the cathode being the negative plate and the anode being the positive plate, and then we have the electric field immensely. That's when we expect the uniform. But the moment these electrons start being attracted, then the uniformity kind of reduces, because now they are everywhere. Now, E is varying only along the Y. X and Z, we say it is not, there is no variance. So if that is the case, then we would have that E is equal to minus Kali D by Kali Y, which is equal to 0. It is uniform then, it is 0. And this is at the surface of the cathode. The surface of the cathode. Today, these negative charges have decided to just do whatever they want. I will not bother anybody because I want to finish enough for the test. Hey, I'm trying much as possible to make sure that I have enough for the test. Because test 1 is covering the whole of electrostatics. Up to where I will have stopped today. I don't know. For 1 hour. Yes, how many numbers? Do you do your paper? The paper is 5 hours. I mean 5 numbers. Do you do it 5 hours? Do you do the exam for 5 hours? So do I, before I go on, do I put for you to choose, or I make compulsory everything? Do I send many numbers, then you choose which one to do, or I make everything compulsory? Those for choosing? Those for compulsory? Choosing wins. So we shall have many numbers. The first number is choosing. The first number is choosing. What I'm saying is that when an exam is for choosing, the first question is choosing. They struggle to choose what can give you good marks. So is the hassle. You choose this when you are doing, say, but this one I would have finished everything now. But you can't cancel. So you suffer. Yes. I will say hard stuff. You want simple stuff? I will say what you have studied.
Maybe consider both cases so that when you come with papers, you ask where are those on that.
So you want me to waste printing 2 sets of. I give those who want to choose and those, but I can play a trick on you and come with the same paper and say those who want to choose, then I give. Then those who don't want, I give the same still. And then some of you still think they are choosing when all of you are compulsory. So whatever Fred says is true. Yes. So compulsory. Yes. Attempt all, eh?
Yes. And the friend did not raise up his hand.
Attempt all. The instructions attempt all numbers. Unless if anyone of you doesn't want that, gives me a valid reason.
1 hour.
Yes, it is 1 hour. 60 minutes. Since you want through. 60 minutes. So we have that E would equal to Kali P by Kali Y, but still when we say it is uniform, it's constant, so it gives you. And this is yes.
Well, we are talking about the electric field between the infinity, actually between the infinity, whatever is place. how comes that we have taken the electric field and the surface? Can we have the electric field and the surface? How would the electric field will be in between the plates?
That's precisely the reason we are. But you find that you find it hanging in between the plates.
But then we are saying that at the cathode.
No, before you find this field just hanging in the middle of the plates, or it runs from the plate to plate. The field, if this is a positive plate as our anode, the field runs through. So it is not that it is hanging in the middle, like, balancing. It's not like a niggle balancing in the middle of the plates. Anyway, so can you allow me, because I have very few minutes left and I want to finish this? Under the influence of field intensity, under the influence of field intensity E, an electron travels from point PC, an electron travels from this point here on the cathode, from point PC and goes all the way to the anode towards PA. In a straight line, perpendicular to the plates. Does not move like this or like this or zigzag. It goes from the point PC to point PA perpendicular to these plates here. So let the potential at any point P, this one here, let the potential at any point along that path P dV. So that's the potential we can find at this point here. For an electron which is moving from PC towards P, A. By the law of conservation of energy, the law of conservation of energy, whereby energy is neither destroyed nor created, but is transformed from one form to another, requires that the kinetic energy by these electrons would be the same as the, how do we call this one here? The EV? From heat. Is it heat or water? Numerical. Or you don't remember? What was this called? EV? Yeah, that's like a unit, but what was all that called? Huh? So we can get the U. U is the same as 2 electron, 2 EV over N square root. Yes. Under the influence of the field intensity, under the influence of the field intensity, says that statement of electric field is just
The language is a foreign.
the language is foreign. Really, you just want to tell me the truth and say you've forgotten something. The grammar doesn't grammar. That's how you say stuff. The grammar is not grammar. Something like that. So we can now get the speed of the electrons from this expression. And we had our first question being the same as Kali squared V by Kali Y squared equal to minus 4 of epsilon naught, the Poisson's equation. And so this is our equation 2. The rest is where M is the mass of the electron, is the mass of the electron, and U is its velocity. Is its velocity when it has reached this point where we have the potential fields. At point P. Now, if we have these electrons are taken to be in a given volume, then we talk of the volume charge density. So we shall keep going here, there, until when the diagram is useless. But for now, I still want us to be able to visualize the diagram as well as be able to derive our stuff. There are a bunch of videos on YouTube when I'm chopping this, so you can always go there and compare with how I have chopped. Now, so if rho coulomb per meter cubed is the volume charge density, the volume charge density at this particular point P, then the value of the current density, then the value of the current density, value of the current density J at P is given by anyone who can guess what would be the current density. If we have the speed of these electrons, we have the charge density. What would be the current density? How? You cram, you don't cram from the mouth. How does it? What is this? What is charge density in the first place? Current density is the current per unit volume. Current is the charges over per unit time. Now, but charge density is the charges per unit. Now, so that is D cubed. So you have, if you now talk of the current density should have been equal to area, current over area, which is charge over, it was current over area, which is charge over area times time. And then when you go further, I don't know whether I'm making sense to make you see how it comes about. So since all of you have agreed that it is equal to minus rho u, this being our third equation, then we would have that from equation 2 and 3, from equation 3, 2 and 3. Then we would have that minus rho equals to J over U. Can I have this J scalar way forward just to make sure that I have an easy life? Okay? Just to, for easy, because I'm going to be chopping, and putting the letters here and be easy for you. So minus rho would be equal to J over U, which is equal to J. U was root 2EV over M, so it will be root M over 2EV. And then we have that the Poisson equation was equal to minus rho of epsilon r. So Poisson equation now becomes the Poisson equation becomes d squared v dy squared equals to j in 1 over epsilon naught root m over 2e, and then we can put v on the outside, which was root v. Root v is the same as v to minus a half. So we can say that this would imply that v squared v y squared is equal to some constant k, k1, then times j, then v minus a half, where k is this whole stuff here, just for convenience. Do I still need this diagram? I think I've exhausted it. Bye-bye. It's the diagram. So then we said that this is capital K. 1. Where K is a constant, where K1 is a constant, where K1 is a constant, and from the expression, this constant is equal to the 1 over epsilon naught, then root m over 2e. For selfish reasons, if we multiply by 2 dv dy both sides, and then integrating with respect to y, then we will have changed nothing. If you do it both sides, then you have not done anything wrong. But you will have, just like when Haji buys rice for this family and the other family, same quantity, they are all happy. But he has not done anything special for either of them, but they are happy. So the integral to the dv dy, which we have said we multiply, then we have the d squared v dy squared, and it should equal to the jk1v minus, but we multiply by the 2, so this is 2k1j integral, and then integrate over with respect to y, so there is a y here, and this would be 2k1j, then we have v minus a half, and then we have the 2, we are multiplying by the dv, dy, and integrating with respect to y. This one says you differentiate, then you integrate, so we can as well say that this is the integral d dy of dv dy squared, dy being the same as 2k1 j integral v to minus a half dv. So, this one is saying differentiate this. This and this are saying integrate this. So, in actual sense, we are doing nothing. So, we remain with this. So, this would imply that this here, dv dy would equal to, so we take the square root of this. And of course, when we integrate this with respect to v, what do we get? I just want to be sure that I'm at the right place. If I this, wait a minute, so we got this being the same as, can we keep it this for the meantime? Being the same as 2k1 j, then we have, if we do this, we'll first deal with the right hand side, add 1, then divide by the norm. So this would be the same as 2k1j v to the positive a half divided by a half, and then plus some constant of integration where C1 is an arbitrary constant. Is any constant arbitrary means that it doesn't have to be some particular value. Some arbitrary constant emanating from the integration. Jeremy, why do you sit far away? Is that 90? So anyone having issues where the V came from? Which two? Yeah. You want it? When you differentiate this one, you get 2v dv dy. Yeah, before this one came here by what I said, that you are integrating and then you are differentiating. But this one, this whole thing comes from doing, if you differentiated this, you get this. If you now differentiate this one here, you get this with the 2. But then when you put it in this form, you are saying differentiate, integrate, do nothing. I'm not doing mathematics, this is physics, okay? But it is my job to make sure that you are with me. So this would equal to 4. So this would be implies that the dv dy squared equals to the 4 k1j, and then we have the v to the half plus c C1. We have the Y, and there was something nice, so we had a constant of integration. And whenever we have a constant of integration, we run into boundary conditions. And one of the boundary conditions was that at a point at the x-axis, at y equal to 0, then we were having potential B set the cathode, negative is always taken as it is, grounding. The grounding and negative are always confused, and that gives you potential. But at y equal to 0, the potential is, and if that is the case, when you try to differentiate with respect to y, the potential, it also gives you. And so what would be our C1? 0. So this would now imply that our dV dy squared would be equal to 4k1 j v to the half, implying that taking square root both sides, dV dy would be equal to the root of 4k1j. And since we have interest in the potential, because that's what we are doing, we are solving this potential problem using Poisson, so we don't need to start making V, hidden under the root, so we can have our V being to the quarter. It is V to half, then we square root it, it becomes V half to half, which is V quarter. And we need the potential. So if we need the potential, we now integrate. So this would imply that integrating V the minus a quarter by, when you put it this side, dV, this would be the same as integral 2 root k1 j dy. This is integration or algebraic gymnastics. So we get that this one will be plus 1, which is 3/4. So that would be 3/4 becomes 4/3. So this implies that we have 4/3 V to 3/4 equaling to the 2 root j k1. Then y plus C2, another constant of, where C2 is another arbitrary constant obtained by boundary conditions. So since at this place still, since at y equal to 0, potential is equal to 0, this would imply that now the C2 equal to 0. Also, we said that at y equal to D, the second plate, the potential was the same as the potential of the anode, VA. And this implies that our 4/3 V anode 3/4 is equal to root 4. If you put these two inside again, K1J, and then times the Y is now at the anode plate, which anode plate is at a distance B from the 0, from the reference point. And if you were asked to find the current density of these electrons, then this current density would be given by the square root of, so this J half would be the same as the square, not the square root. 4 over 3D times 1 over root 4K1 into the anode potential 3/4. Or we can say that by just writing it in a fancy way, then we could say that the current density is equal to a half is equal to root some k, not k1. Then VA to the 3/4. This is, and on squaring both sides, we get J equal to K, then the other one will be V3 over 2. So we could find the current density. So if we have this anode potential, then we can get that. And this is called the child Langmuir. This is the child Langmuir equation or law, where we say that the current density is proportional to the anode potential in this proportion. So it's up to, okay, if this was to be put in a question, you could be asked to find the current density or show the current density equal to blah blah, or be asked to find the anode potential, the potential at the anode, then this would be the subject, anything. Where this K, the K we introduced is this one here, which is equal to 4 over 9, then 1 over D squared, 1 over K1. And so we could say, if we put in K1, our K will be equal to 4 over 9, then 1 over D squared, epsilon naught, root 2E over n. Thus, the current density J is equal to 4 over 9 epsilon naught VA to the 3 over 2 into 2E over M, or the K1 to the power half times 1 over D squared. So this is the current density. If I asked for if you were required to find the potential at the anode, then you would make the VA substitute. Any other thing one can ask? If you are asked to find the mass of these electrons, show that the mass of the electrons, so M would be. If you were asked to find the separation between these two plates of this vacuum diode, that's our D. Show that the separation of the distance between the plates is given by that. D would be subject. but at least we have now been able to find the current density of these due to these electrons. And that marks the end of the first part of the course, understanding the electrostatics of materials that we would be using to make sure that we propagate our waves soon or later. So tomorrow after the test, we shall look at steady current or current electricity and find out the behavior of conductors like coaxial cables and how they will be, their nature will affect the propagation of waves. My list, and then I see you tomorrow, and good luck. So you read up to here.